first Game Your Future pitch competition, where we're going to have... We have 5 tenacious indies here who have decided to pitch their business competition to a panel of esteemed judges. We have a few judges who, are very well regarded in our community. Would you guys...
a few of them, not all of us.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, Lucien Parsons. I am a 22-year game industry developer. Co-founded ZeniMax Online Studios since we're in Baltimore. I'm a limited partner in a game VC. I've been an angel investor, and I'm a fractional COO for multiple game studios right now.
Peterson, M&T Bank. Claudius, two-time exited founder, one in the Web3 space and one in deep tech. Angel investor, tech code generator. I'm more than happy to be here.
Hi, Ezra Szanton. I co-founder of Rebel Duster Studios. I'm currently working at Giant Light Studios, both small indie teams.
Thank all of you for coming here and checking this competition out. This is going to be fun. We have several great people who are going to be getting judged.
Timer should be over here so you can see.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So the structure of this pitch, we're going to give each team 5 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes of Q&A. So the teams are aware. Zach, if you could stand up and show our wonderful cards. You will have a green card presented if you have more than a minute, a yellow card pitching if you are under 60 seconds, and red card means wrap it up within 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Understood. I got it.
Okay, you're going to be...
I've been to a comedy show. I know the game.
You're going to be judged on the concept and vision of your game. Is it a cool idea? The audience and market fit. Do you know who you're building it for? The team execution capability. Have you put together the team that can actually deliver what you're promising? Your production plan and feasibility. Is it a good scope? Do you have an actual plan put together? Your business model and go-to-market strategy. Does the pitch show a viable path to the revenue and funding? Like, is there a coherent approach to how you're actually going to sustain yourself? And then differentiation and creative impact. Does the game stand out? Is there a unique hook there that makes this something that is like, yes, I want to be a part of this? So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mason Quilty of Guilty Game Studios.
Hey guys, so I am going to go quickly because I only have 5 minutes, but luckily my team does have a booth here that's in 307. It's in the back towards the left, so if you have any questions, come up to us, say hello, play test a game of ours. We love meeting all you people, and also just privately before I get started, thank you all for being here. It's so lovely to meet all of you and get to talk games with industry people who have just as much passion. So just a general thank you. But right now I'm here to talk about our upcoming game, Dreidel Last Flight. So this game started out as us looking into Jewish mysticism and mythology. We thought it was an area that just isn't really touched on culturally enough and has so much depth to it. Back there we have 2 other team members of ours, Pat and Emily. Can you guys wave? There you go. So Emily has really spearheaded the research on this and just went into it. I've learned so much that I never knew before. So we started to play around with a narrative that retold the story of Hanukkah from the perspective of a magical dreidel. In this, we have 8 knights that are 8 levels. Each of them has puzzles, enemies, and mythic bosses that you are not killing, but instead redeeming each night. So they're all stories of redemption, grounded in Jewish mythology, and sort of taken to the next level in a lot of cool ways. And we have a branching narrative that works off of that. So, people usually ask us when we say we're making a Dreidel game, what does that gameplay possibly look like? Oh no, we're offline. Well, I would have a little gameplay video there. If you want to see it, come by my booth later, because I'm not going to deal with technical problems when I have 5 minutes. But we are creating an evolving Dreidel physics system on top of a 2D platformer vibe. So we have classic platformer movement, think Hollow Knight or Terraria or something of that nature, but with the added sort of spin and physics of our little dreidel. We have individual bosses moving through each night, and that immersive branching narrative. So that is our gameplay. Next up, I get to talk about one of my favorite things in the project. Ooh, please slides, change. There we go. The art. So our lead artist and art director, Keel Sparks, lives across the country and sadly cannot be here today. So it is my lovely honor to get to show off some of her concept art here. If you come by our booth, you'll probably see some more of her art that's on our little projector. But she's been doing an amazing job from the very, very start of working with Emily, as Emily has done all that heavy research and really, like, from the get, making the art direction match the research and mythology that we're representing, because it's really important to us that we represent that in a clear way and a respectful way. And that's just been like her mission since day one, and that's been just incredible to see and awesome to support. We also are going to have a dynamic soundtrack with blending orchestral music and some of those more ethnic musical pieces and instruments. And yeah, we just really want to also have everything come together to support this branching narrative that is touching on this mythology that so rarely gets talked about. So our business plan. We are going for a price of $20.99. Realistically, on Steam, that ends up being on sale much of the time and going down to about $14.99. So our sales end up being somewhere in between those two numbers. And we're basing our sort of revenue calculations off of that. We are planning on moving towards DLC and possibly some merchandise, especially if that's viable after the first few months of release. We are also reinvesting that revenue back into our next title, as we are doing with this game. And we are a small remote team that has a lot of creative freedom and is really, really passionate about this, and we are self-funded. So let me get a little bit into the funding logic here. So, we are self-funded, we have enough to make this game, and we are going to make this game. That being said, we have some plans to sort of boost ourselves along and get us some extra things along the way. So we have an upcoming game called Snowball's Chance in Hell that is going to release in the next 2 months that will give us a little bit of revenue to sort of trickle in and get through some marketing things. We also are going to launch a Kickstarter in Q2 of 2026. Our goal is pretty low on that. We're keeping our expectations kind of low at 40K with some stretch goals that go up to 100K. I'm being told I have little time left, so I'm going to move through a little faster. So these are the scenarios we imagine as a low success versus an exceptional hit, and how those numbers play out after Steam takes its cut. We have been looking at the numbers, and we see that about 60 to 70% of lifetime revenue happens in the first 3 months of most games that launch. So at that point, we have more of an idea of how much of that long tail we can add to it. Adding in some DLC and things like that, we really see traction at month 4. So moving forward, this is our current milestone. We have 2 of them locked. Okay, I have to move through. So these are our current milestones. If you have questions about our development phase or the milestones we're reaching, please come by and ask them. And yeah, I'm being told I'm out of time, so this is our team. They're very, very wonderful. Each and every one of them has just been amazing, and I feel so glad to be able to represent them. And I just want to one last time thank you guys, as well as give you a way that you can support us, which is mostly joining our Discord and wishlisting us on Steam.
Do our judges have any questions for Mason?
Sure.
Please.
So, you're mentioning that one of your comparison points is Hollow Knight, and you said you have a branching narrative. Mm-hmm. That all sounds like it takes a really long time to make. So what's your plan for how long development's going to take you and why you can deliver that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Part of that is that we have already locked our narrative. So that is one of the goals we already accomplished. We knew early on that, especially with the nature of what we're working with and the material we're working with, that the narrative was going to be super important to get just right. You know, it wasn't something that we could kind of, mess around with after launch. It has consequences if our narrative is incomplete or doesn't do justice to the material. So that was really our first hurdle, that we were like, if we're going to make this, we have to have this locked down really, really early on. So that was a big point for us, that we wanted to do well early on. So that was our earliest design lock, and also completing a production roadmap thereafter that really includes all the features that can support that. Yeah.
outside of your team member having interest in this subject matter? What kind of research have you done that showed that there are a lot of other people who have the same interest?
That's an interesting question. So one of our team members is Pat right here. Yeah, if you want to come up and address this, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, by all means.
So I'm that target audience. I'm Jewish, so basically this is reaching my whole community. It's an underserved community that has, we get educational games all the time, but there's nothing fun. There's nothing juicy out there that talks about actually our culture of mysticism in the background of it. I've talked to a lot of synagogues and different rabbis and stuff like that, trying to get people excited about stuff. That they struggle a lot of learning just about your culture. I think that's something that's very well-rounded in a lot of different cultures. It doesn't just touch base on Jewish mythology, but it does touch base in a lot of mythology that a lot of people share. So based on that research, I've been asked to speak at different conferences and also different synagogues to talk about this specifically. So that's kind of what we're serving. Thank you.
Kind of following up on that.
Yeah, please.
You had some potential revenue
Yes.
projections there. Have you done any validation across those numbers to how big this audience is?
Yes, so based on a school, just a synagogue school, we have about 200 kids normally just kind of enrolled. Hanukkah is a yearly goal, that people don't necessarily always want to participate anymore after a certain age. This is one of those things that hits that. When talking about numbers exactly, we've looked at different Christmas video games and other things like that don't always do that well. And it's a different clientele, but do kind of roam in that kind of field. My background is in computational data science, so we've run a lot of metrics and different tags in the background end. So when we're looking at numbers, we're looking at things that are in religious context exactly, and also at what looks like it's selling. Yes, sir.
So numbers, what is your audience? If you were limited to just the Jewish audience, what are your target markets? Like US, Israel?
US for right now. We're looking at porting for Israel because of just language. Yeah. So and with that comes a lot of other issues, that kind of go into it. Yeah.
Any other questions?
How much time we got?
Just over 1 minute.
We have 1 minute's worth of questions.
Okay, so
Please.
you've got you said you're funded for this. This is self-funded, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Ironically named, perhaps. Why is Snowball's Chance in Hell going to add funding to this?
Because it's being released earlier.
What's its market?
Great question. It's a very simple 2D tower defense game. So it's hitting mostly idle markets and mostly tower defense markets, and we base most of our metrics around the simpler lower end of that sales market.
Price and platform?
$4.99 PC, and then also possibly mobile web port, because most people tend to play idle games in mobile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Of course.
All right, that was really cool. Our next team is going to be MariSuCho, Eric and Tony. We're going to give them a minute to set up before setting the time.
This is our routine. Now you hit me over the head with the keyboard.
You guys can use the stool as a platform to put any hardware on.
Oh, okay. Enough space for a keyboard. Going forward. Is this mirroring to this?
You should be able to pull the HDMI.
How are
Just getting the Steam Deck hooked up.
Music, yes or no?
What's that?
Music, yes or no?
That's up to you.
All right, you got 5 minutes.
Okay.
So get ready to start the timer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, MariSuCho Games, Eric Imler.
Hi, my name's Eric Imler. I'm here with my lead programmer Tony, and today we're showing off Dukkido. Dukkido is an action RTS with online co-op. It uses a squad-based control mode to kind of bridge the gap between action fans and like seasoned strategy game veterans. It features this bombastic visual style that we've created using nothing but hand-drawn assets and hand-drawn illustrations from our artist. She goes by Z, and she lives in Belgium, and unfortunately she couldn't be here today, but she will be here with us at MagFest coming up in January. We'll be showcasing the project again. We set our product apart by first of all, feverishly pursuing a large-scope, scalable project that's intended to appeal to kind of experienced PC gamers, Steam Deck people, people that want to get a modern Pikmin experience without paying $600 for a Switch 2, etc. So we appeal to players of all skill levels. Discord gamers looking for a good co-op game to play with up to 4 friends or more. And our age group that we're targeting is like between the ages of like 25 and 40, people who will get the references and the allusions to games like Command & Conquer and Warhammer. So the core game loop is this kind of basic find minions, feed minions, collect minions, fight. You get food, you find minions, you fight, you grow your squad, and then you go out into the world and you solve puzzles, you complete objectives, and the best comparison I could make is something like Helldivers or Deep Rock Galactic, where you're deploying into a mission with your friends and you're working together to kind of complete the goal. Our budget expectation as we take the game from demo to early access is between $50,000 and $100,000, depending on what we're able to receive within the next several months. That'll determine the feature cadence we can have leading up to our early access release at the end of 2026. Our revenue target for the game is about $300,000. We're intending to take advantage of the sizable audience of co-op players on Steam. Co-op games are very popular. Action co-op is the most popular in that subgenre. And at the same time, we're filling kind of a unique niche, offering this multiplayer co-op Pikmin-y experience. And the game runs well on Steam Deck. It's well optimized to run on medium to low-end computers. And as far as our funding, we have received for the last 3 years of roughly $1,100 of angel investor funding for the project. And we are considering running a Kickstarter after our demo release, but we'd rather not. It's a lot of work, and we'd rather focus on making the game because we're ready to launch with the game. You know, we're ready to start iterating and adding levels and implementing the enemies. And community building as well is a big aspect for Dukkido because we're intending to do a lot of crossovers. We like to invite artists to design their own enemies, and then we implement them in the game. People can build their own factions, and we'll be providing the modding tools to do so in Godot Engine, which is what's running the game. As far as keeping ourselves afloat while we do the project, if we weren't to receive funding, we just continue doing what we've been doing and like doing commissions, day jobs on the side. The game would get done. It would just take a bit longer to get it to the point where we'd be proud of it. And that's about it for the pitch. If you want to just watch some gameplay until my time is up, I think the game speaks for itself. I'll go and narrate the gameplay a bit. You can see what you have here is your squad of units, and they follow around your captain. His name is Recon. Currently, he's in the tutorial area, and you're collecting food. And right now, he's trying to get this big key out of the ground. So let's see some of the physics in action here. There we go. So, unlike in certain competitors, you haul the objects yourself, and they're real and they're physical, and that's a game. Thank you for listening.
Can you kill the sound? Any questions?
Go right ahead.
How many people are on the team?
It's myself and Anthony in the lead developing roles. We have a full-time illustrator and concept artist, which allows us to have the fully hand-drawn, textured style. And we work with 3 collaborators who provide the music, the sound effects, and the additional clutter assets, mostly. And they work kind of on a limited basis.
6 total.
So 3 full-time, 3 collaborators.
No, good.
What else is left to be done? You said it's almost done, but you said...
Yeah, can I show, can you like go into the main game after the tutorial real quick? Because we have the scope of the game built out. All the systems are in place. Like what our main thing is in the next year, we need to start iterating on the content of the game. So we've got the shape of it and we're filling it in. We're adding missions, enemies, captains, equipment you can unlock, things you can buy in the shop. So
you're saying it's a co-op game and there are missions and puzzles and things like that. Does that mean that if I'm playing with a friend, I play through all the content you have and then I'm done? Or like, how does the content translate into game playtime?
So we have a core gameplay loop, which is you go in and you do the missions, but at the same time there's a kind of B side to the game where you're solving these mysteries, these like major puzzles to the game. And you can play through the missions as many as you want. They iterate up in difficulty and they add challenges. But to unlock more of the game itself, you need to solve these large puzzles, which you can do with your friends. And then it goes through that loop of like you grind to get upgrades, or not grind, but you play the missions to get upgrades. You build up your army, you solve a puzzle, you unlock a new area, you do missions in that area, solve puzzles, build your army, so on and so forth. And we plan to build the game out in chapters. So the first chapter takes place in an area called the Cobalt Desert, which is fully modeled and implemented. And once you complete that, you unlock the next chapter, which is another large scope area.
And quick question about how your funding roadmap and your development roadmap coincides.
Yes.
So because you said that they're going to be unlocking roadmaps as things goes along, unlocking chapters, excuse me. Is the plan to continue to have this go on as long as the funding can support additional chapters?
The plan, our maximum scope is 4 chapters. So like Dukkido 1 would be finished once we complete 4 chapters. It would have everything we had planned, essentially. Early access release is going to have that first chapter fully finished, and that's going to be between 10 and 20 hours of content, over 20 if you're playing with your friends. And following that release, we'll be releasing updates to the game, which start to build out that second chapter. And as we continue to build our community and our fan base, we're looking for a dev cycle similar to what Deep Rock Galactic was able to achieve, where they first released this very promising co-op game, and then they iterated on it over the course of their funding.
Thank you.
So Steam, since you mentioned early access, PC only?
Linux, Mac. Gato enables us to build to any platform.
Pricing?
$15. Bundle, 4-player bundle, $40.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, that was a really cool presentation. Now, next up, we have something a little bit different. We've got Andre and Rochelle Dates from Ludola. They have a hardware solution.
Yeah, one more store.
Change inputs. It went to tried to go to Prime Video instead of the exit.
Do you know how to take it? Okay.
Is that you?
No, that's you. That's the TV.
Oh my God.
That's not you, is it?
That's us. That's good.
Okay. How's it going, everybody? I am, my wife and I, we're just at it very, we didn't come prepared, unfortunately, so we don't have slides, but can you hear me good? Speak up. Can you hear me? Yeah, there you go. Better. Okay, so bear with me. So I'm Andre, this is Michelle, and we run a very small company called Perf Engineering. We got started a couple years ago. I had a product that we had a Kickstarter for, and it was successful. We sold approximately 100 units. This was a gaming adapter, very specific to like the Smash Bros. Round industry. It used to be deep in that subculture. But I got a lot of feedback actually from all around the world, from all the few customers that I had, and they were asking me to push the technology further and do a lot more with it. So I actually took it down, stopped selling it, and decided to improve it and this today is the first time I've unveiled it, so to speak. So essentially what I have is a very small computer, right? Where it works is you connect controllers. You connect controllers to this range on any USB hub. And this cable connects to switch 1, switch 2, and it can run in a couple different modes. Essentially, you're able to use any hardware controller, Xbox, PS5, PS4, anything all the way down to the GameCube, and you can use them on your Switch. Switch 1, Switch 2, also works on PC, and anything PCS, like Rogue Ally, or Steam Deck, all that. So this gets over the issue of how do you use non-Nintendo controllers, let's say, on a Switch, right? You can do that. We had 4 people playing Mario Kart today with the Xbox, PS5, PS4, such, right? The most novel feature of this thing is what I like to call squad mode. Basically, this diagram, if you can see it, explains it best. From 2 to 4 controllers, kind of, I can compress all of those inputs into a singular output, so to speak. So you have 4 people, or let's say my wife and I, we are combining our inputs, and it shows as a single output. So let's say we're playing Mario Kart, she could be driving, she could be steering, and drifting, let's say, and I'm doing the items and whatever, right? And this is game agnostic, right? So you can do this for shooting games. We actually played Halo with our son. He's 10. We gave him one task. He had one job: throw grenades. And you can guess he did a lot more than throw grenades. So she was doing movement and a couple other things, jumping. I was doing aiming, shooting. So this is product is actually a tiny computer, so it actually has a tiny little. You can hotspot, it has a little web server on it, and you can jump on that and turn on and off any buttons, triggers, or whatever you want to any controller that are connected. And we did that. We exercised those features and ran 2 minutes and had a great time. Beat the game. So, yeah. So sorry, I'm all over the place. So, this product solves a couple different problems. One, it kind of reimagines how games are played, right? So generally, especially one-player games generally one person, right? With this, it could be up to 4 people, right? And it's up to you to decide how you want to do that, right? It's all also, it has a bit of like maintenance, controller maintenance. So if you can imagine, you have an issue with a stick, like a control stick, you can debug that, you can visualize kind of things and see exactly, what triggers or whatever. You work. Oh, that's fine.
Q&A from our judges.
I'll kick off the questioning. Congratulations on the successful first campaign. I know that you are planning an even bigger campaign this time around. What's the broader vision? Is it to continue down a specific path of more multiplayer and open world, and or is it, like you said, because it's agnostic, where specifically is the beachhead?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have a perfect answer. I'm kind of stuck in between. I'm trying to make something that's going to just shake things up a little bit, right? I feel like it's a transformative technology, so to speak, right? It's nothing like it right now, and I'm just dying to introduce it. There's also a STEM part of it as well, right? So people who like to, code, I'll say, right? You can prototype your own product, so to speak, right? You can make a controller, right? You can hook it up. You could do so much with it, right? I could think of a million things, right? So I'm kind of in between those two, right? I think at least in this iteration, I have a whole lot more I can do, and I will do. But those are the two areas I really want to pursue. I guess one more thing to mention is I really want to dig into the what I call squad rule, because that I've noticed over a year or two that really reduces the intimidation for people who don't game or don't know how or don't whatever. Right? It's so easy just to put a controller in someone's hand and say, click this button when you see the thing, right? And that it's brought me a lot of the times. I think it'll bring it up.
How much does it cost you to manufacture a unit, and how much do you plan to sell it for?
Unfortunately, prices are changing for several reasons. But right now, it's about $34. Trying to get that a little bit lower. I'm aiming to sell it around the 70-ish range. Right.
And how much does a Switch controller cost?
Quite a bit. Depends on which ones. First party ones are nearly 100.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
So I take it this is protected, right? You have
Patent pending, yeah. I'm waiting for the examiners to get done, so I should hear
domestic?
something. What's that?
Domestic?
I believe domestic.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a while since I filed, so. But yeah, I'm waiting on that issue.
You have all your permissions, like all these overrides that you're doing is legal?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no, yeah. Trust me. Also, I have a full-time job. I work as a reverse engineer for government contractors. All those little rules and whatever, I know how to
What do you think the market is? Because when I read the word adapter, I thought it was adaptive, so for people with mobility issues or something like that, or perhaps cognitive issues, but that's not what you talked about.
That's a great question. Adapter is more like, the word adapter is more like,
I just interpreted it as adaptive instead of adapter.
I don't think the way you interpret it is, I think it's like, what it is includes that, but I think the major market is just the general gamer of any age, right? Anybody who's looking to just play games in a different way, right? Anybody who's open to that, and if there's any indication of who that is, I think it's everyone. I've had lots of people come by my table and seem to enjoy it and seem to have a lot more ideas than even I am. So still working on the exact marketing, but in general, just opening the door for people to use their imagination and play in a new way. That's what we're doing.
So you see it primarily as a new way of play, so the multi-controller thing, rather than, heck yeah, I want to use my Xbox on my Switch because it's a better controller.
I'll be completely honest with you. There are products that do that.
Right.
Yeah, there are things that do that. So I didn't want to, I didn't want to stop there, right? I wanted to create something for one novel. I might have went a little crazy on that, but,
Where's it manufactured?
Answer.
Can I answer? Currently, the hardware is just a Chinese, Chinese or like a Raspberry Pi kind of thing, right? But hoping in the future, maybe when I get a little more funding or revenue, I can make my own PCBs. So the secret sauce is in the firmware and software drivers and stuff.
Thank you. their solution has been presented. And there's a pitch of gaming and ready to go. Next up, we got Matt Halpern, FireStorm.
The joy would last if this was actually in your house.
Oh, zero. As the owner of a child, I can tell you.
The owner.
I do not know why my sound turned on.
Yes, this is the AI that's.
I also don't know why Game Grumps came on. I did not have Game Grumps. I did not turn Game Grumps on, but apparently that is the background for this. All right. Yes.
Here you go, Matt. Take it away.
If it's okay. Hello, my name is Matt Thompson. I am with Team FireStorm, and I am presenting my pitch for The Hunt of the Thunderbird. So, in the heart of the desert, in the Great Red Rock Desert, what we now call Arizona, there is the legend of a monstrous creature, the Thunderbird. She sweeps in with a deadly storm, bringing destruction and devastation in her wake. The Thunderbird has claimed a young boy, the future chief of his tribe. His mother, putting aside all fear and self-preservation, proceeds on the hunt of the Thunderbird. So what is this game? Well, it is a third-person puzzle platformer. I'll be completely honest, I put these bulletins. Anyone here who's played Shadow of the Colossus? Yeah, it's that. Get rid of the sword. You have a bow and arrow instead. The bow and arrow has a rope attached to it. Congratulations, you now know the entire gameplay. Puzzle platformer, climb up the rocks, shoot at the thing, shoot the thing. Great, there's your gameplay. Audience, so the audience for these kind of games tend to be very story heavy, which is odd given several of them don't have dialogue. If you notice, I mentioned Shadow of the Colossus, but Journey as well does not have dialogue. And this game probably won't either. But they end up really enjoying the story, like the tone, the emotion, that feeling, that ambiance. That's really what they go to. Despite the fact that it does have fast twitch, they tend to enjoy more slower gameplay, more methodical, more thought out. This group does bias slightly towards women. I'm not entirely sure. Actually, I do know why. It's because they love story more than men do, but it just happened to have a slight bias towards that. So we are looking at women probably in their late teens, early 20s as our audience demographic. So you're playing as the player, a strong Navajo mother. Now, I am going to preface this. Yes, I am aware I'm a white boy talking about Native Americans, but one of the things that I would really love to do with this product is really bring out the Navajo culture. I was born in Utah, and I was raised in that area, and I grew to really respect that culture in that area. I would love to actually, if we have voice acting, actually get people from the Navajo tribe involved in this as much as possible. So is this person, she is a strong Navajo lover, as I said. She's an accomplished archer, hence the bow and arrow attached to a rope. She's skilled at rock climbing, she better be, and rope tools, just little tools that help you climb up rock faces. Her antagonist, the Thunderbird, the giant monstrosity in the sky. This is your only enemy in the entire thing. It is a giant thing in the sky that is constantly zapping you with lightning. The only weakness in the back of the neck is a wound that you have to shoot with your bow and arrow. You are not hitting that from the ground, so guess what? Before I tell you what, guess what? Environment! It's that. I will be honest, the inspiration for this game actually came when I was visiting the Grand Canyon, and I literally started thinking to myself, you don't see very many games set in this environment, and this is such a beautiful place with like these gorgeous rock faces that would just be so fun to watch this character, Breath of the Wild style, climb up. So now, how do you do that? All right, so gameplay loop. Pretty much every single level comprises of the following. You start at the bottom of either a ravine, a mountain, something. You have to climb to the top, the very top. Once you are there, hey look, there's a giant bird on the side. Shoot it. Climb the rope. You have a bunch of swinging around. You climb up the rope. You shoot the bird. Yay, you did it. Themes and stories. This gets into a lot of Native American culture. The Thunderbird represents leadership, so a big part of this is that, hey, because her son is about to leave to go be the chief of tribe, hey, the Thunderbird represents her inability to actually let go of her son leaving to go become the new member of this tribe. A lot of artsy stuff, but I saw the yellow card, so we won't get into that. Development plan. So these are not from my game. These are asset packs that we have been experimenting with. Please do not come after me for plagiarism. But these are all kind of things that we've started experimenting with to show that we have like the different elements and the different mechanics. We've been trying to conglomerate them together. Current goal, 1 level with an environment and the Thunderbird itself. We will then use this demo to go to publishers and be like, hey, please give us money. And we will estimate things from there. Yeah, team, it's me, plus a couple other people. Hey, come check out Blood on the Thames in the other hall. Looking at 300K, sales goals. Sorry, I saw the red flag, so I know that that's what you guys care about. But so,
go back to last 2 slides.
Yeah.
And the next one.
These are comp titles. This is the one that made the big storm. Sable is probably much closer to what we're looking at. It did about what we're expecting. It also has a team about the same size as ours.
We can't hear you guys. Get back.
So a lot of your comparison games have like really beautiful art as part of the selling point. How are you planning on delivering on that aspect of the game?
These guys. This is the team that has been working with me on Blood on the Thames. They're currently working on me Murder on the Isle, and they will be working on me with the future projects. They are a art studio that specializes. There's one dude. He is a teacher down in Full Sail. And he finds students and he gives them tasks to do so that they can grow up their portfolio in order to get jobs in the real world. I'm the fake world, apparently. But yeah, so that they have been great to work with. And then also, like, you know, there's a lot of rock asset packs out there.
You said that you are getting ready to prepare a demo. How long will that demo take to complete?
So it is still several months out. We are very much so in the, hey, here's this sphere. If this sphere is looking at that, it shoots out a rope that is a cylinder. It is still very much so that. I would not want to actually show off the demo until we had something that was visually comparable to what we're doing. Right now, we're still in the testing out the physics phase of this. We're very, very early on, admittedly, in this project. But I would estimate 6 months low end, 1 year high end.
You also need to share platform.
One more time?
Platforms again?
We would start on PC, we'd move from there onto Switch, and then if market made sense, we would go on to PlayStation, Xbox, but start PC.
What's your differentiator? The main character? You mentioned a lot of games that it's just like.
Okay, so first off, the biggest one that we're comparing to is Shadow of the Colossus. The reality is if you look up Shadow of the Colossus and go games like this, everyone kind of goes like, oh. So immediately the fact that yes, we are comparing ourselves to that game, there's a lot of like, hey, that's kind of the game that's taking up the space. Having other games in that space is not very common. That said, we're looking at, it's mostly the, like, the bow and arrow, the fact that it's much more archery based, it's much more positional based, it's much more get to this point and do something, as opposed to just frantically climb and hope you don't fall off, the way a lot of them do. Once you're on the Thunderbird, you're not expected to fall off, unlike Shadow of the Colossus. Stuff along that line. Ideally, it would also be like tone and theme, but That's very hard for me to guarantee as being a differentiator until we make the game way further along. But I would like it to have a different tone and theme, a more, like as I said, much more focus on mother-son relationship, a much more hopeful, but with that like, oh, people get old theme and tone to it.
Are you gathering that information through beta testing, or is this your head saying?
Well, right now, when we don't even have a demo, it's me saying it. When we get further along, I would very much so put it in front of people and go, "Hey, how do you feel right now? What are you feeling? What's going through your head?"
Do you have an art style in mind? Like you had a bunch of different photos and stuff.
So. Unfortunately, so Sable is the one that we're looking at as the closest comparison. We're looking at, I also see yellow card. Wind Waker, a little bit like that cel-shaded cartoony, but not quite, not fully into the like comic book. Like it's still very, you can distinguishable, like that is a mountain, that is a thing, but we're not going for realism. So somewhere between, Wind Waker is probably the closest comparison in general parlance.
You said 300K is the initial thing, but what do you think the full estimate, the full production cost would be? Because you're talking about
initial estimate for full project, 300K. However,
that's 75K a year with 4 years of development time.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people that have side jobs, mostly. Okay. All right.
Alrighty. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kai Davis, and I am the founder and director at Far Owl Studios. And we are a studio aspiring to craft worlds and games that our players can lose themselves in. And we achieve this by adhering to our 4 design pillars. The first of these pillars is marrying gameplay and narrative. The second is intellectually challenging. The third is challenging yet accessible. And the fourth is nerding out. And we currently apply these 4 principles to our current IP that is our aspiration as a studio that we have named the Ethereal Metropolis. It is a world of mystical, religious unicorn deer, and this world is ripe with plenty of storytelling opportunities that we can hurl ourselves into. And we primarily tell these stories through video games. The first of these games we are currently calling the Dukkido Saga. It is a series of 3 games, one of which is currently in development, following Dukkido, a major event throughout the history of Servane, and the first one that we are currently developing is called Schism. Schism is a narrative-driven political simulator RPG where you play as a double agent between a break-off religious sect and a fantasy inquisition set within this world. And what you have to do is that you have to gather intelligence from both sides. You have to investigate it. You have to solve puzzles. You have to uncover their dark secrets, read between the lines, and more to uncover insights. And you use these insights to wield the truth in reports that you craft, controlling the narrative and interactions between both of these factions, and influencing an inevitable conflict to come, ultimately putting you in the position of deciding whether or not this conflict has a more violent start or a more peaceful start. Schism is the first iteration upon our business model, which can be divided into 4 stages. The first of which is early open playtesting, where we engage our community and gather their feedback and behavior and synthesize it with our vision to create a winning gameplay formula. We then expand upon that and pitch it to a broader public through our crowdsourcing campaign to gather ourselves social proof and early market validation while also increasing our community. We then take all of that and bring it to a publisher or investor, which then funds the rest of the development cycle into a game release on traditional storefronts, currently on PC for Good Old Games, Epic Games, and Steam. And then from there, we then refine this model, adapt it to the demands of our next game within the saga, and along with feedback from this, our previous cycle, we then repeat it once more. But what differentiates our model is that we specifically focus on feedback at all levels, at all times. And this comes in 3 primary channels. The first of these channels is early analytics. That way, we can understand player psychology and reception of our vision, and we can craft that winning gameplay formula and hone in on our unique selling points, our USPs, which brings us to our second one, community engagement. We can identify which ones win the most, which ones take us the furthest. And we combine that with our crowdsourcing campaign for additional validation, and all of this results in a de-risked investment production cycle while also allowing us to pivot much quicker for when something inevitably goes wrong during the development cycle. But all of this, is part of our journey of crafting worlds that you can get lost in. Worlds that you can just spend hours and lose yourself in. And today, you have that opportunity by giving us your feedback and posing us questions and your support. Thank you very much.
While they're looking at the score sheet still. I don't know that one works. Just a few out. You did a good job projecting.
Thank you.
So you presented something as a business cycle, but what you didn't talk about was actual sales. What market is this for specifically? You said where are you going to sell it, how much are you going to sell it for, and how much content is there?
Okay. Yeah, so that's 3 questions right there. So I'll divide it into 3 responses. And so as part of our model of making Schism, we have identified games specifically within a sort of hybrid visual novel sector, games similar to Orwell, which was released back in 2018, and The Darkest Files, which is a more recent release, have been able to move a surplus of 10,000 units or more, and this hybrid visual novel is our specific, is dominated largely by the European market. And so, as for the pricing point of this game, within our genre, a denoting of high quality is marked around $17 to $20.
How many people on your team?
There are 6 of us. I am the full-time developer on this, along with 5 other collaborators. We have an art director, who you've seen her art of right there. We have an audio guy responsible for sound effects. We also have an additional programmer. We have a 3D artist and an additional narrative designer.
What's your go-to-market timeline?
Our go-to-market timeline is right now around a year to 2 years. We estimate that our development cycle for this is going to be around 16 to 18 months to fully complete and polish.
Have you made games yet before?
No, we have not. But we have been. Okay, so yes, we have made games before together, but this is our first time like doing a commercial release.
Makes sense.
how are you going to, you said the market's primarily European. How are you going to get to that market? How are you going to accept?
Into the market?
Yeah.
So that is we are currently exploring that right now, but it's primarily through localization, the fixed localization, French, Italian, German, and Spanish localization. That is our stretch goals. That way players can really get into this and have a product, a world that they are already familiar with.
Do you have other elements of like you actually started like 4 levels up and when you're like, oh, this is the game we're going to make. That's part of this, part of this, part of this.
Yes.
Are you planning on doing things besides games? Because you mentioned IP more broadly.
Yes. So part of our agenda as a studio is, well, to create all of these games and make this IP ripe with plenty of storytelling opportunities. And that does give us the opportunity to go into various branching mediums, including tabletop games, books, novellas, visual novels. We are specifically designing Schism with some mechanics that plant the seeds for us to do that in the future.
One more. Thank you.
Hello. So my name is Sky. I am the founder of my studio, Fishagon LLC. We've been in business for 13 years, and I'm not here just to talk about one game, but the studio's business model overall. Because we spent 3 years making our first commercial title, Trainer Minibot, and it did okay, but not good enough for 3 years. So now we focus on 3 to 4 month cycles to make each of our games, focusing for February, June, and October releases to align with Steam Next Fest. In June of this year, we created a title called Git Good. Git Good is a Git educational game where we released it with almost no marketing, and it went to Steam Next Fest, and it blew up. We had 30,000 players in Next Fest. We released the game 2 weeks later and sold 10,000 copies. We then, 2 weeks after that, were in the Automation Fest and sold another 3,000 copies. Then we were contracted by 4 universities to have it as an educational game over in Belgium and Germany. From there, we have decided that maybe small cycle games are the way to go. We are now making a card game. It is mostly done, 2 months of development time, with some more UI polish to go. It has full networking, up to 5 players. And the key aspect of our business plan going forward with games like this is to identify the core frameworks. This is a card game. We've built a card engine, which can now make multiple card games in rapid succession. We plan to sell card engine on the Unity Asset Store, along with 3 other assets we currently sell there. As well, aside from just the games we make Unity assets, mostly tooling, stuff like Itchworks, which is a DRM solution for itch.io with Unity. As well, we've made other card game assets like knapsack algorithms, and we do outsourcing for a number of studios, including on Duelist and Voodoo Fishing coming out soon, and when possible, I put my computer on top of the console. We have found a lovely little community called the Playdate, which is made by Panic, who published Firewatch Untitled Goose Game. This is a 1-bit console with a very passionate community. We released our first game for it in December of last year on itch.io, made 200 sales with no marketing aside from to their subreddit. And then last month we released onto their catalog, and again, it's doing quite well there. Can I use the extra time just for more questions? Sorry, I'm very nervous.
Yeah. Sorry, what's the name of the company?
Fishagon. It's a hexagonal fish.
And what are you looking for from a pitch? Are you looking for publishers' investment or outsourcing deals?
Probably outsourcing deals that's a primary area of our business.
What's your team look like?
So I'm the only full-time person on the team. I use one composer for every game I've worked on. His name is Joshua Hunt. He does fantastic. If you're looking for a composer, check out his Bandcamp and SoundCloud. And then I also work with an artist. He goes by Onway Studios. He's done a lot of the art for games except for this one here, because he doesn't do 3D. This was Basil, who I met on the INAT subreddit.
To keep up with your release schedule, how much are you planning to grow the team over the next 2 years?
That is a good point. I am actually planning to look for another solo developer who can start taking on the early RAD development, who can make the prototypes for new designs. I already have the next 4 games planned out, and I'm looking for someone who can do like the latter 2 ahead of me to keep the development cycle ahead.
With your revenue today, is it enough to sustain the runway that you are planning for the next year, or would you need to bring in additional outside capital in order to fund these projects?
The company's making well more than enough to continue.
You said you've got the next 4 games put out. The first couple seem to be like very different genres. How are you? Do you have anything planned in order to kind of build on the momentum? Because it kind of feels like you're starting over from scratch each time.
Yeah, I have a puzzle platformer, a free-to-play party game, a educational hit game, and now a card game. It's very all over the place, and the next few are also quite different. The upcoming one's an incremental idle game, a tycoon game. A lot of it, though, is using the same foundational code over again. Like all of our Steamworks is the same library every time. I have a lot of like tweening libraries that I use over and over. It's actually quite a small amount of new tech that I'm making at this point.
You're mentioning that you also sell assets on the asset store.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that play into your strategy of doing various genres, of like creating assets for those different genres, or just something?
So for the card game engine, typically I try to think of an asset that I think would fit into the market well. There's an opening. There's a single massive card game asset on the Unity Asset Store, TCG engine. I think that there's always room for a competitor. Mine's a more simplistic, flexible system. And if I can find other areas of that, and then I can develop a game on top of it, I prioritize those.
So have you enacted that strategy before, where you prioritize the extension of an asset you already have?
Card Engine would be the first time going in this direction. Before it was making assets purely for that and without using them in my own, like, eating my own dog food. This would be the first time for that.